And we're live. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Sharon. This is 30 Food Safety. We're just interviewing for 30 minutes the brightest food safety experts. So thanks for joining.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, really excited to dive in today. Would love to just hear from you. Like, how did you get into food safety? What's your journey been so far from when you started to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of good things happen in life by chance, and me getting into the food safety was by chance as well. So I am an industrial engineer by degree, my bachelor and my master is in quality assurance. But I've been always working in quality. But really, I started my journey into the auto industry, car manufacturing industry. And
Oh,
it
wow.
wasn't until an opportunity came for internal auditing that I got to know food industry. And later, when I started my career in the U.S., I completely moved to food safety and food industry, food and beverage. And it's been a great journey. But I'm very fortunate of the time that I had with the auto industry because I learned many good things there, including lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, and I think mm, talking about career, I think diversity really brings experience and working in multiple industries, working in different sectors of the same industry. It's really insightful and it brings an experience that otherwise you wouldn't be able to achieve.
Yeah. Would you say that you're still like an engineering focused quality person? That's kind of your base?
I have a view. So, industrial engineering has a lot of concentration on the system and system thinking. And I think that is really helpful wherever you work. That even in life, it really can help you. It gives you basic tools for many things, including project management, process management, and I still have that view. I use that a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that I can execute those perspectives also in different avenues within the food industries as well.
Yeah, I heard you speak in a different, I think it was at a conference or a conversation, but you're very methodical in how you think about quality and break it down step by step. And we can get into that a little bit more later, but I
Sure.
think it's no surprise that you come from an engineering background. But why the food space? If you started in automotive or you could do quality in pharma or medical device, what keeps you in food?
Yeah, so I came to food industry at the start because that was the opportunity that was available. And I started my career in the United States in 2009, and that was the time that it was economical recession. And as I was studying my master degree, then an opportunity came up in food industry, and I had just a little bit of background of the food industry. But as I got into the food industry, I got more interested in food and also in food industry. I think food is something that touches us every day. So yes, sometimes cars also we use them every day, but there may be days where we don't use cars, especially if you're not living in the United States. um,
Yeah.
but food is something that we use 3, 4 times or even more regularly every day. It's really impactful. If you look at the basic needs, it's at the bottom pretty much. I think it has a lot of personal aspects into that. And as I got more into the food industry and as I got more into the health space, I felt like that there are a lot of room for improvement, advancement. There are a lot of room for impact. So I think
Hmm.
the influence, the impact is something that it got me, and I stayed here, and I'm very fortunate that I am part of this space. And I think food is a sector that is very critical for human beings, and it's very impactful for health of us.
Yeah, and it like you said, it affects us, people are eating 3 times a day, and, I think too, like, there's a lot of focus now on, like, "Hey, what's going into our food? How does it affect us long term?" Those sorts of things, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's something that unites us. So we can have different opinion, we can have different political party, but when we talk about food, everyone cheers up, everyone comes on the same table, it talks about that. So it is very important. I think we need to we need to use those levers. We need to use those commonalities in order to help us to unite us to talk about the common objectives, to talk about healthier food, to talk about safer food. So I think the power that food has, the power that this industry has, is a lot, and it should not be underestimated in my
Yeah. And also the impact, like you said, is like there's a high impact of producing safe food, but then also there are unique challenges that I'm sure you came across in the food industry that are different from automotive. Any big challenges in your career that jump to mind? Yeah, as you reflect back.
So certainly learning the technical stuff is very important. But if I go back to the start of my career, I would say that one main aspect that I've always trying to work is the communication and communication skills. I think learning the technical stuff is very critical, but as we learn technical stuff, I think we need to work on the soft skills as well. So
Mm.
communication is very important. Building your network, building the network of people, building the circle of trust is very important. A pure technical person cannot be a good leader if the soft skills are not developed, if communication skills are not there, if the circle of trust between a leader and the people that our colleagues are not created. So the challenge for me has been always to balance these and to make sure that I don't go deep into the technical stuff because I have that tendency. And
Yeah.
coming out, take it, longer shot look and essentially be able to manage this. I think as you work further, especially as you work, into the jobs like corporate jobs, work-life balance, then it becomes another challenge that leaders should be watching out. So that stays as a constant challenge for sure. But
Yeah.
it is important that you can think better. You can have a better mental health when you have a healthier body, and all of that, by the way, comes back to eating and
Yeah.
having a healthier diet, having being cognizant about what you eat, what you avoid to eat, is very very important as well.
Yeah, jumping back on the communication, because I think a lot of people enter food safety quality, maybe their food science degree or they worked in a lab, are more technically minded. What did you have challenges with talking to people on the floor, talking up to management from sales and marketing? Where were those friction points at the most, would you say?
So, you know, um, I, 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 I have to say that English is not my native language. So,
Yeah.
going to the U.S. and learning the way that is spoken here it was the first learning. And but as you work into the organizations, it is important that the communication skills are developed, that they go to the point, they are concise, and at the same time they are appropriate for the level. So it's a combination of all these factors that becomes an effective communicator. And
Mm.
I've had to learn to speak at different levels. One of the real really good experiences that I have is going to the floor and talking to the people, understanding how they answer the questions, how they become comfortable to talk to you, and I think it's very important for a leader that works in a manufacturing environment to still have the touch with the floor and spend some time on the floor, become a leader that people see that person, and also be able to communicate openly with them. It's also important that when it comes to the leadership, when it comes to management, the communication is to the point so that they understand the challenges or they understand the opportunities, and also it's concise as well. So I think it requires different skills, but it's
Yeah.
important to be cognizant of that. It's important to open the channels of the communication, to keep them open, and to stay with all of them in an effective way.
Yeah. I think that's a good point that I haven't thought about it that way, where it's like the skills to communicate with people on the floor are a lot different than the skills to sell up to management, where sometimes it's difficult for people to excel at all of them. Um, and is that something you felt like you evolved with lots of practice?
It's certainly something that you will need to be cognizant, you will need to be aware of. So I think the awareness is very important. Having the intention to make sure that you have the communication channels open, and also knowing that a lot of times when you talk to the management, when you talk to the leadership, you may just have a certain amount of time, and you need to make your point within that certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Um, that's that's very important. So mm, but I think presenting is very important as far as having the presentation skills, knowing that sometimes pictures talk a lot more than just the words, and the hints like that. I mean, those are sometimes just the difference between a good communicator and a communicator that is not to the point. But yeah, I would say that the balance of being present as a leader and then having good communication skills is very critical. Is something that needs to be developed for anyone.
Yeah. Anytime I always like to ask, like, do you have any regrets or mistakes in your career on the food safety side? Whether it's communications or not, does anything jump to mind on that front?
Um, so I think one of the regrets that I have in my career altogether, whether from in food industry or outside, was not having coached too soon in 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 my career. So I've learned my lesson. I have a coach. I talk to many people now that can help me in order to educate myself, in order to improve myself. But you
Hmm.
know, I, I think having someone that is experienced, having someone talking to someone that have further in the journey, and being able to listen to them, being able to see their experiences, and learn from it before you try to experience that yourself, it's very important. And I wish I had the knowledge, the awareness that how much a coach can help. I think anyone at any point of the career needs a coach, needs someone
Yeah.
to talk to, needs someone to get guidance to. There are areas that we get stuck. There are areas that we don't see. We have the hidden, you know, unawareness about ourselves. So those are the things that coach can help, and that is one of the regrets that I wish I knew sooner so that I could, progress better.
Yeah. Careful, Shram. You might have some people reaching out to you after this saying, like, hey, can you be my coach? Can you be my mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that people come to you and ask for coaching. Obviously, everything should be balanced from the timing standpoint, but um, a lot of times a friend, a colleague can be your coach. You can ask for the feedback. You can look for some questions that you would ask them specifically, intentionally. So so it doesn't always have to be someone very formal through formal channels. It could be one of the colleagues. It could be one of the friends. Um, I- it could be one of your family members. But I think
Yeah.
being aware of that, being intentional about it is something that progress you very well.
And how do you go about finding a mentor or coach? I know large organizations, there's people that you can look up to further along, but sometimes in a smaller plant, in rural Ohio, it might just be one quality food safety person. How would you recommend like finding a mentor or a coach if you're early in the space?
I think it comes back to how comfortable we are in our communications. What in my experience, people that you're more comfortable with, people that you think that you like their approach, and you think that they are easier to talk to, they are more open to provide feedback, are the people that can help. There are people that they have experience in something that you really think that that experience would be helpful for you. So reaching out for help and finding people that are willing to provide that help is the first step. And
Yeah.
then I think after that is managing the relationship, putting some framework around the relationship. Um, but um, but I would start with someone that you think can benefit you. I would start with someone that you're more comfortable with as far as talking, and I would make this something very specific, something in a format of not just a regular friendship, but also something that is professional. It's around your intention. It's about your goal. It's about what you want to achieve, and it's about improvements.
Yeah. And to, like you said, like putting the framework around where it's like small and manageable. Like if you ask someone to meet every day for a year, that's a lot different than like getting a coffee every 3 months and talking professionally.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Yeah.
have to say that I have seen a lot of people in my career that have advised me directly or indirectly. And up to this point, I still remember the advice that they have provided to me. I think in
Wow.
the industry, there are a lot of good people that are willing to help, but they need
Yeah.
to know that you need help. And once you put the step forward and ask for coaching, ask for help, ask for guidance, I think there are many people that would love to share their experience, would love to provide the feedback.
Yeah. Are you coaching people currently?
So there are a few people that I speak with them, and then we have you know mm, communication with each other as far as the
Yeah.
approach. I have to say that it's a very good feeling because you feel like that you are making your impact as well, and you are trying to help them to come along on their journey, and I think that's something that you enjoy. I mean, enjoying from your achievements is something, but when you see that people that um, you have a relationship with are also having their achievements, I think is a different level of satisfaction and enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone loves like paying it forward, giving some of their wisdom and helping people grow, definitely.
Absolutely.
Anything besides kind of the coaching side, what would you say are like your Hall of Fame moments in food safety? Anything jump to mind that you're like, "Oh man, that is something I will always be proud of."
So y- I think working in different environments, working in global setups, being able to work with different cultures, um, managing yourself, and also having the courage in order to initiate, challenge the status quo, and execute initiatives that really improve the current status. Those are the things that um, I always strive to do, and hopefully I've been able to achieve in my career. But I think it's important to recognize the wins that we achieve personally and also in your work and altogether in the industry. It's also equally important to understand what's ahead of us and where is the goal, where is the vision, and how we can achieve those. So um, if I can answer, your question from the personal perspective, I've been able to, educate myself on in food industry, even though I'm not a scientist by degree. I've been able to, move up in, the leadership hierarchy. I've been able to work with great people through my career as one team and achieve many initiatives that have helped companies. And I've been able to try to have initiatives that really evolved the ways of work. Um, but that's at the personal level, and I would like to expand this, obviously, and I think that's something that we should work together as food industry in order to achieve much more. Because coming back to our conversation about food industry, and I've been very deliberate on this to explain that the goals in food industry, it's aside from sales goals, the quality food safety goals in food industry, it's about the life of people. When we talk about
Mhm.
recall, when we talk about um, market actions, things like that, it's about um, if you're dealing with people's life on the daily basis. As much as food is impactful, it could be painful as well. So
Mhm.
we shouldn't be comfortable with having many number of recalls. We shouldn't be comfortable when we have an outbreak, and we have many people that are victim of that. So we should really criticize ourselves and see what we are not doing right that happens. And
Yeah.
and I think it's something beyond just correction. It's really about being proactive. But that, I think, we will set that aside for another time.
Yeah. Well, I remember you said in another conversation, like, and I love how you called out where you said if you're constantly being reactive, like there are some foundational issues. We're thinking about quality food safety as being proactive, rather than like constantly firefighting. I think that's a good thing to push for in the industry, and that can, that'll be your future Hall of Fame moment.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the approach in the food industry should change, and the way that we have been operating is where we are. I think we should be crediting to the good things that have occurred throughout the last couple of decades. Food industry have evolved. They have, gone through a journey of improving the standards, trying to, you put some into the practice. But at the same time, I think the general approach of the food industry is still very reactive. It is still very technology reverse, or conservative about technology and automation. It is still not adopting as much flexibility as needed, really, in order to have a breakthrough improvement. See, I think the concept of the continuous improvement, when we talk about something like health, when we talk about something of safety, sometimes it's just not simply enough. You need to drastically change. You really need to be able to jump from a level of the safety to another level of safety. And just
Mm.
small improvement sometimes is not enough. You need to change the perspective, and changing the perspective and getting a different result requires a different approach.
Yeah. Do you have any specific things that you think the food industry should be doing that maybe other people don't agree with you on?
Yeah, I want to answer this question from the perspective of our conversation, which is about people, which is about how you learn food industry or food safety, and whether you're proud of it. I think that I want to put that into that perspective. And one advice that I have, especially for the people that are just starting their career in food industry and food safety, is learn quality. In addition to food safety, learn quality.
Mm.
The concept of zero defects is not new. This is something that we have had in many other industries. There are other industries that they achieve the much higher level of the assurance, much level of reliability, and we got to look and do some benchmarking and see what they have done. And I just don't think that just comes from the concept of the food safety. I think we need to expand the span of the improvement beyond food safety, and then talk about quality, talk about system, talk about total quality management, talk about looking at the overall collaboration that we need between the supply chain, between the quality, between all the entities, all the sectors that exist within the food industry, and make this a cultural thing. That when we say really food safety is not quality, the quality function or quality department responsibility. This is really being active, and is something that people are living that in the food industry. That's not the case right now.
Mm.
I think part of that comes back to the approach that food industry has had in the past, and that has been historically very scientifically focusing on the food safety aspects. The concept of the continuous improvement, the concept of total quality management is not yet very dominant in food industry, especially with the smaller companies, I would say.
Do you think like focusing on quality would lead to an improvement in food safety, and any examples if you think yes?
Right. So I think so. I think focusing on the total picture, focusing on a comprehensive, quality system that warrants food safety, but it's just beyond food safety, is a starting point. So, when I was working in auto industry, the concept of the quality wasn't just product quality. It was the whole system. Quality was responsible of the of integrity of the quality in the whole uh, system of, in that case, manufacturing, or the total concept of the quality, all the way to the through the corporate. So I think we need to step back and then talk about the concept of the quality when we design, concept of the quality when we have our maintenance system, concept of the quality when we have marketing, concept of the quality including food safety. And when I say quality, it's not something different than food safety. Food safety is inside. But when we talk food safety, a lot of times we just talk about products, and we have to step away just thinking about the product and really go back and look at the system, all the contributors, all the factors that impact ultimately the food safety, and try to work through all of those aspects. When all of those aspects become, um, at the higher level, and they become more, effective, I think the food safety, it sometimes is a product of that. Really, it comes
Mm.
after.
Do you think that people would be resistant to that? I just could imagine like a quality manager walking in and being like, "Hey, this is how we're doing maintenance. This is how we're finding suppliers. This is how we market." Yeah, how would you see that kind of unfolding, like being a little more collaborative?
I think the concept is the same. The concept is in a high performance organization, you want zero defect with high engagement. And zero
Yep.
defect is the goal from achieving. Engagement is the goal from the culture standpoint. So when a system is designed somehow, in any system really, that don't have defects, or is designed in a way that deliver efficiency in a way that the defect doesn't happen. And defect in a maintenance system could be, how do we operate so that an equipment doesn't fail? What do we need in order to do that? If we fail, that's counted as a defect. And then how do we do that so that people get engaged? so that with the system, we design the system, that system is basically an engaging system. People are aware of that. People understand that. People take responsibility around that. That is a high performance system when we talk about maintenance. And if you just, you know, mm, have this concept around anything else, then you get to a point where excellence becomes the goal of every piece of the organization. And therefore, excellence becomes the goal of total system. And then the food safety aspects of that are warranted. So
Yeah.
that's a very short answer, I would say, to to the question.
Yeah. I love it though. I love you're saying that quality should almost be like the foundation and every other department's over that and connected with it. Is that right?
Yeah, quality is really the core, and
Yeah.
um, I think we should redefine that to some extent in the food industry.
Yeah. And if for you said next generation of food safety or like learn about quality, what are some of the resources you'd advise people as they're coming up in their career? Like where should they go to learn?
So there are many resources when it comes to education about quality. I think we should know a bit of the history of quality, where it started, where it is right now. We should know the main quality, you know, influencer that we have had throughout the history. We need to understand what Deming said. We need to understand what Joseph Joran said. We need to understand what Philip Crosby said. And
Mhm.
we also need to understand the food safety aspects of that. I think we need to understand the history in order to make the next chapter. But that's probably the starting point, in my view. And
Yeah.
then from there, I think we have to expand understanding some system mindset and tools. People need to know how we should do, basic quality tools like root cause analysis. We should have an understanding of how to do that. How do we make a system that is preventive? So there are tools associated with that. So we need to understand the philosophy. We need to understand the approach, and we also need to understand some basic tools that are like tools that you need if you're working in the area of industry. You need to know how to do the root cause. You need to know how to problem solve your issues, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I love it. So it needs like we need a master class or like a list of classics for quality and then start layering in kind of the more modern food safety ideas.
I think so. I do think that the quality role in the food industry should be redefined for the same purpose. That the education about quality, education about system thinking, education about proactive ways of doing things, education about design, especially when we talk about hygienic design, is embed. There is a responsible for that. And there's an accountable for that, and many people would be responsible for those. But I think sometimes those roles are lost, doesn't exist, and therefore you just live up with the consequences of that, which is a failure, which is a recall, or
Yeah. Definitely, and as you're saying that, it just makes me think, like, I'm not someone in manufacturing, but I know Japan, Germany, America, we all have different philosophies of manufacturing, and there really isn't that same tension in food where you're like, "Hey, we're following this system or we're following this system." It sounds like those are still unfolding.
right. I think at the end we want to deliver one thing, and that is safe food to the consumer. That
Yeah,
is the goal that we want to have. We want to have safe, nutritious food to the consumer, and that's the common goal wherever we are. And I think we can unite around those basic principles.
yeah, absolutely. Well, great. As we're wrapping up here, Sharam, would love to hear if you could hear one person get interviewed for 30 minutes about food safety, who would you like to see and why?
This is a very difficult question, Patty, and I think I would say Lone Jesperson is someone that I have um, seen in conferences, I always sit and learn from the way she talks.
Mm.
I think she has a different perspective. She focuses specifically in the area of the quality culture, so I think is really critical as the foundation of anything that we want to do. And I would love to hear the 30 minutes her journey.
Great. Well, we'll do our best to get her on.
Sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shahram. It's been awesome hearing from your background and quality in the car space all the way to food. So thanks so much for joining.
I appreciate that. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.